think the ridiculous notion is for either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that.
But you just said
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you can not understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either.
Bill Maher, once the darling of the left, has made it clear he's done playing nice. And in a recent episode, he cut straight through the noise of woke talking points with the sharpness that's defined his career. Known for courting controversy, Maher didn't just push back politely, he ripped the mask off, exposing the weakness of his guests' arguments and leaving them scrambling. What makes this moment significant is that it isn't an isolated incident but part of his very public drift away from the modern left. Once a reliable progressive voice who took aim at Republicans and championed liberal causes, he's now openly at war with the woke establishment, essentially exiling himself from their ranks. The debate at hand started with something as trivial, yet telling as the end racism slogans plastered across NFL fields during the height of woke culture, a practice Maher mocked for its emptiness. When guest Tara Pomeroy tried to defend the virtue signal, Maher cut through it with a simple, devastating point. If someone is truly racist, do we really think a painted slogan in the end zone is going to make them suddenly abandon their hatred? His takedown was blunt, funny, and revealing a perfect example of why he's become one of the loudest critics of the very movement that once celebrated.
The Super Bowl, there for the first time in I think 4 years now, the Trump administration is making them take away end racism, which they had written in the end zone, right? And when
why? It just seems silly. I mean,
to do it or not to do it?
Why get rid of it?
Oh, I could tell you why.
I know, but it's just like you're...
Because it was stupid to begin with.
Yeah, but it's...
Let me ask you, who's it for? And if you're a racist and you see end racism in the end zone, you're going to stop being a racist?
Maher's point was brutally simple. Slogans don't change reality. They don't make racists less racist or non-racists more virtuous. They're empty gestures. The same hollow playbook the woke movement has been running for years with rainbow filters and t-shirt slogans masquerading as progress, while real issues like crime, inflation, border security, and foreign policy get ignored because those problems are actually hard to solve. What makes this shift interesting is that the public finally seems fed up, and corporations have noticed. The Twitter mob doesn't move products or make customers happier, it just alienates half the audience. That's why end racism quietly vanished from the Super Bowl field, not because Trump demanded it, or because the NFL suddenly found its conscience, but because companies realized the pandering was backfiring.
Don't be
But I think it's an effort to nag us during a football game about something that doesn't change anything or any. If I'm not a racist and I see it, it doesn't matter. And if I am a racist, it's going to make me more of a racist.
Like, I think if you write "don't be an on the end zone," everybody will agree with that.
Maher nailed the point that when the mob loses its grip and outrage stops being scary, companies drop the act and return to business as usual. It was never about solving racism, just shielding themselves from online backlash. And while some argue awareness matters, Maher countered that awareness without action is nothing but noise. And most Americans are simply tired of being lectured during what used to be an escape, like football. But that wasn't his only mic drop moment. When Barry Sears claimed people outside a racial group could never understand that group's experiences, Maher pushed back hard, arguing that sometimes being too close to an issue can blind you just as much as being too far from it, leaving the table stunned and proving again why his contrarian streak still hits so sharply.
Either one of you all to have the audacity to believe that you understand what the experience is to be.
I have to object to that.
But you just said
I cannot talk about it because I am not part of a group. I am a sentient human being. You're right. There's two ways you can not understand something. One is to be too far from it. We're too far from it. We can't see like you can. One is to be too close to something. And then sometimes you can't see it accurately either.
That's a perspective you almost never hear in these conversations. We're constantly told that proximity equals truth. That lived experience is the only valid evidence. But Maher pointed out the obvious. If you're completely immersed in something, you can actually lose perspective, exaggerate it, distort it, or miss the bigger picture entirely. It's not a popular thing to say, but it's true, and saying it on air, especially in front of someone whose father literally lived through the civil rights movement, was a gutsy move that cut against the grain of the usual.
Well, all you have to do is ask my father. who literally was shot in the Orangeburg Massacre, right? Who helped found SNCC, who marched with Marion Barry and Stokely Carmichael and Martin Luther King, and the list goes on and on and on. And he will tell you today that he feels like this country's at 1954. And so if you want to talk about somebody...
That doesn't mean it is.
Well,
you said he feels that way. That's ridiculous.
He made it clear that while he respects that history and experience, it's simply not true to claim Black Americans in 2024 are living the same reality as Black Americans in 1954 Alabama, calling out the absurdity of equating the two and refusing to let the conversation get swallowed by hyperbole.
Close to something, I am that.
I know.
So, but what I am saying though is for you to discount my father's experience and say
I'm not discounting it.
And to say it was silly.
I'm not.
No, he was shot.
No,
Were you shot?
No, but he's still alive. Like, he's right here. Like,
right, but the idea that if I were to say to you, as a Jew, that the experience of Jews in the United States today is worse than the experience of Jews in Europe in 1939, I would not be stating accurately.
Correct.
It's not true.
That's
and
right.
It's also not true to say that the experience of Black people in America in 2024 is worse on a general level than the experience of Black men in 1954 now.
And he's right, racism still exists, and challenges remain, but denying the enormous progress America has made is simply dishonest. This is a country that has elected a Black president twice, appointed multiple Black Supreme Court justices, seen Black senators, billionaires, CEOs, and now even a Black female vice president. Opportunities that were once unimaginable in the 1960s are now everyday realities. That doesn't mean everything is perfect, but it does mean the claim that nothing has changed is flat out false.
Privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a Black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok.
And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many activists don't want to acknowledge progress because their influence depends on maintaining the narrative of oppression. If people recognize that America has made real strides, the outrage machine loses momentum, and with it go the speeches, the fundraising, and the media gigs. That's why professional outrage merchants keep pushing the idea that we're still living in the 1950s. But Maher called their bluff, and that's what made his point so powerful. In the bigger picture, what we're witnessing is the collapse of the old Democratic strategy, one that for years has leaned heavily on identity politics, dividing people into categories, pitting them against one another, and framing every issue through the lens of race or gender.
They see women and people of color, and it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Kamala spent 100 days telling voters, I know it feels like crime and illegal immigration are bad, but f*** your feelings, look at this chart. Yes, there's a lot to not like already about the new regime, but maybe take 1 week to ask what you did wrong. The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know.
It worked for a while, energizing the base and giving Democrats easy talking points, but voters are sick of it. People don't care about slogans. They care about the price of groceries, whether their kids are safe walking to school, and if they can afford rent or gas. The party's obsession with pronouns, cancel culture, and lectures on privilege doesn't resonate with real life. And that disconnect is why they keep losing ground. Hillary Clinton didn't lose because she was a woman, and Kamala Harris didn't become wildly unpopular because she's a woman of color. They lost traction because they failed to connect with real issues. As Maher put it, Democrats run campaigns like the voters don't actually live here, treating average Americans as if they're too dumb to understand, too backward to appreciate elite brilliance, and that arrogance, condescending and elitist to the core, is exactly why so many voters have turned their backs on the left.
Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office. But
here's the real question. Will Democrats finally change course, or just double down on the same failing playbook? Honestly, they seem addicted to it. They believe if they lecture harder, shame louder, and throw around more labels, they'll eventually win. Spoiler alert, they won't. Bill Maher sees it. more Americans are starting to see it. And that's why moments like this matter. They cut through the hollow slogans, the fake outrage, and the arrogance of the people pushing it. America isn't the dystopian nightmare the woke left tries to sell. Is it perfect? No. But it's a lot better than the cartoon version activists want you to believe. Real progress takes solutions, not hashtags. Now. Maher isn't perfect, he's not even consistent all the time. But when he calls out the nonsense, he deserves credit, because too many are still afraid to say what he just said. And the fact that it came from Maher, once embraced by the left, makes it even more damning. But what do you think? Did Maher go too far? Or was he the only one in that room speaking the truth? Let me know in the comments, I'll be reading. And before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who's sick of empty slogans. This conversation is just heating up, and you won't want to miss what's next.